bangani bam. That's Zulu for hello, my friends. Yo, it's a good thing that we don't eat the same food. For example, there are birds which eat ticks. Yes, they eat ticks. We call them ox peckers because they ride on animals and they pick off ticks from the animals' bodies. Now, today's story is about two ox peckers. Come closer and listen. Long, long ago, when the earth was still young and filled with animals, two ox peckers built their nest high in a hole in a thorn tree. The nest itself was built with soft hair which they had pecked from the animals. One day, when their chicks had hatched, a bolt of lightning struck the dry field. Ooh, and a ball of fire came roaring through the forest. And all the animals and birds had to run for their lives. Mr. and Mrs. Oxpecker couldn't leave their babies behind. What could they do? Oh, nobody would help them. Then, through the smoke, they saw Giraffe come running past. And they said, oh, Mr. Giraffe, please help us save our babies. The kind giraffe stopped and he carefully lifted out the nest from the hole, and with his big lips, he carried the nest until they were safe from the fire. To the other side of the river. And when they got there, they found a tree with a hole, and Giraffe carefully placed the nest into the hole, and he said, "There you are. Your babies are safe now." Oh, the oxpecker said, "Oh, we don't know how to thank you. Oh, is there anything we can do for you?" And Giraffe said, "Oh, come to think of it, there is one thing you can do for me. I know you both are fond of ticks. Would you please pick off the ticks from my body? Oh, the ticks make me itch. And the ticks make me ill." And so, the friendship between oxpeckers and giraffe began. And to this day, you will always see oxpeckers crawling up and down giraffe's neck, keeping him clean of ticks. You can also see them on other animals, but their favorite is giraffe. Oxpecker, doing his job. What a helpful little bird. Oxpecker, doing his job. Here's a tale you've never heard. Oxpecker, doing his job. What a helpful little bird. Oxpecker, doing his job. Here's a tale you've never heard. There was a fire in the forest, and the flames were leaping high. The oxpeckers didn't know what to do when Giraffe came by. He found the babies and he took them to a tree so far away. The oxpecker started pecking ticks off Giraffe's neck from that day. Oxpecker, doing his job. What a helpful little bird. Oxpecker, doing his job. That's a tale that you've now heard. Yes, it's time to say goodbye from Nandinyambe and Tales from Africa. Salani kahle. Hello, friends. As we say in Zulu, sanibonani bangani bam. Yes, it's time for another tale from Africa. And today's story is about that little bird which we always see around our houses called the wagtail. Because it's always wagging its tail up and down, up and down. Long, long ago, there lived in a desert a young man called Kanapu and his young wife called Trinini. Kanapu and Trinini were very happy. They had discovered among a jumble of rocks a fountain which never ran dry. So Trinini never had to go and look for water, and Kanapu, who loved painting, could paint on the sides of the rocks. But one day, a terrible thing happened. A cloud of little flies also discovered the place, and they decided to stay. They were gray and white birds flew from the sky and they started pecking at the flies. Whenever the birds stood still, their tails would wag up and down, and they would dart after the flies, eating them as fast as they could. It was too much for the flies, and they rose in a cloud and we flew away. How can we ever thank you? Said Gunini. Oh, I know. I'll make you each a necklace from my wedding necklace. So she took her ostrich shell necklace, cut it into two, and made two necklaces. She hung them around the little birds' necks, but they were too heavy, the birds couldn't fly. I know what I'll do, Kanabu said. And he painted a dainty grey necklace around each bird's throat. Ooh, the birds wagged their tails. Oh, thank you very much. We will wear this forever. And to this day, if you look closely at the wagtail, you will see that it's still wearing Kanabu's necklace around its neck. Wagtail's necklace is a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. Wagtail's necklace is a beautiful thing, and that's why they always sing. Kanabu and Quinini were very happy, but when the little flies came, everything went wrong. Then to their surprise, their troubles were over when the little wagtails came along. They chased the flies away with hundreds of pecks. Kanabu painted necklaces around their necks. Wagtail's necklace is a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. Wagtail's necklace is a beautiful thing, and that's why they always sing. Just like Wagtail, I'm wearing my necklace. Well, it's time to say goodbye. Salaniga, say bye-bye. Hello, friends. As we say in Zulu, Sangonan Bangane Bam. Oh, I've been waiting to tell you another tale from Africa. Now tell me, do you know what a wildcat looks like, huh? It looks just like an ordinary cat, but it's large and grey, and it has a black tip tail. Today's story is about baby wildcat. One day, Daddy Wildcat said to baby wildcat, "Oh, my son, I am feeling too sick to hunt. Go to the farmer's house and catch me a nice fat cock." So, baby wildcat trotted down to the farmer's house. And on his way, he met Unokwaja the hare. And Unokwaja said, "Hey, Wena, where are you going?" Oh, baby wildcat said, "I'm going to the farmer's house to catch a cock for my daddy who is feeling sick. But I don't know what a cock looks like." And Unokwaja said, "Don't worry, I'll show you." When they came to the farm, Unokwaja pointed and said, "There's cock." Cock was standing on the rubbish heap. He was a beautiful sight with his flowing tail feathers, his gleaming spurs on his legs, and his large red comb on his head. Glowing like flames. And baby wildcat said, "Look, he's got fire on his head. He's going to burn me." He pointed at Cock's comb. Unokwaja thought to himself, I am going to have so much fun with this silly little wildcat. And he said, "It's easy. You take this calabash with water and you pour it over his head to put the fire out. And then you grab him by his neck." Baby wildcat took the calabash and he grabbed up the Cock and he poured water over his head. Cock shouted and said, "Hey!" And he gave him a mighty whack with his wings. Sure enough, in the twilight, Coxcomb was no longer red. Unogwaja whispered to Baby Wildcat, "Hey, Wena, his fire is out!" Ooh, Baby Wildcat jumped at Cobb. Cobb hit him with his spears, and they cut deep into Baby Wildcat. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch! Baby Wildcat cried. Oh, I'm burning. Oh, Cock has been sitting on his fire, and he went straight home, while Unogwaja laughed and laughed. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. Or so Nogwaja said. Poor Baby Wildcat tried and tried to catch a chicken and then go. But poor Baby Wildcat cried and cried when Rooster hurt him so. With a mighty clout from his wing, he sent Baby Wildcat tumbling. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. Also Nogwaja said. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. There's fire on Rooster's head. Also Nogwaja said. Yes, a coxcomb does rather look like a flame, doesn't it? I'm not surprised it scared Baby Wildcat. Till next time, Salaniga, say. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hello, friends. Sanbanan Bangani Bam. I had to go and fetch some water, but I'm back just in time to bring you another tale from Africa. And today's tale is about Jackal Ujakalasi, the naughty one, who's always playing tricks on hyena in busy. One summer's day, Jackal was hunting for food, but he didn't get any. Ooh, he was hot, hungry, and thirsty when he came upon the shallow well. Farmer had dug it in the sand. Ooh, Jackal was so thirsty, without giving it a second thought, he jumped into the well and he drank. Then he drank until he couldn't drink anymore. Then he tried to jump out of the well, but the sides were of sand. So every time he tried to scramble out, the sand would collapse and he would fall back into the water. This went on for many hours. Then suddenly, Hyena's face appeared above the edge of the well, and he said,
"Oh, it's you, Jackal, huh? Why are you splashing around and making such a noise,
Jackal thought quickly. Ooh, I'm catching fish. Delicious fish. There are so many, I can't eat anymore. Come down and join me.
Ooh, Hyena said. Fish! That sounds like a great idea. It's not one of your tricks again, is it?
Well, if you don't believe me, come down and see for yourself, Jackal said. And Hyena replied greedily.
Oh, all right then. I'm coming down.
And he jumped in with Jackal. Hyena said,
Where are they?
And Jackal replied, put your head under the water and you will see them. Ooh, the place is alive with fish. So Hyena put his head into the water. And while he did so, Jackal hopped on his back and he jumped out of the well. Hyena screamed.
Hey, where are you going, hey?
And Jackal replied, I am going to tell the farmer you are messing up his drinking water. And that's exactly what he did. Ooh, poor Hyena. Farmer's wife gave him a good whack with her broom. Whack! Before he could manage to scramble out of the well. By the time Hyena got out, Jackal was already a long way off, safe from Hyena's anger. Jackal's in the well, Jackal's in the well, la 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 la. Jackal ran away and the farmer's wife gave hyena a healthy whack. Jackals in the well, jackals in the well, lele, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, lele, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, lele, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, jackals in the well, lele, jackals in the well. That was really naughty of Jackal, wasn't it? Anyway, it's time to say goodbye from Nandinyande and Tales from Africa. Salani kahle. No, friends? Or as we say in Zulu, sanibonani bangane bami. Yes, it's time for another Tale from Africa. And today, I've brought you a story about the bird we call the cuckoo or the rainbird. It's a shy bird, but it's got the most wonderful call. Just listen. Once upon a time, lion eat boobies and rainbird were friends. And one morning, rainbird said to lion, "Oh, look at the beautiful sunrise. Oh, I wish I could see where the sun rises. It must be beautiful." "Come, let's go and see. It cannot be far away," said Lion. And the two friends took off to go and see where the sun rises. Oh, they traveled for many days, and often Rainbird would stop and talk to one of his cousins and relatives because they lived everywhere. "Oh, come on, Rainbird. Stop your babbling. It's still a long way to where the sun rises," Lion would say impatiently, and they would carry on day after day. At last they arrived at the seashore and watched the sun climb out of the sea. "Whoa!" Lion said. "Oh, what a wonderful sight. This is as far as we can go. We cannot go where the sun rises. It seems it's in the middle of the sea." And Rainbird said, "You are right, but never mind. I'll call my wife and ask her to prepare a feast for us so that when we get back, we have a huge party." "Oh, that's impossible," said Lion. "Your soft voice cannot reach the hill behind us. Even my mighty roar cannot reach halfway home." And Rainbird said, "You'll see." And he gave his beautiful, soft, bubbly call like this. And he said, "Let's go." And the two friends started their journey back home. When they arrived at Rainbird's home, Lion's family was there and all Rainbird's friends. Mrs. Rainbird had prepared a wonderful feast, and Lion said, "Oh, I cannot believe this. How can your soft voice reach so far?" Rainbird laughed. "You remember all my cousins we passed on our way? Well, when I called my wife, the nearest cousin passed my call to the next, and so on from one to the other until my wife received my call." Lion said, "Oh, that was very clever. But I must say, even though we didn't find the place where the sun rises, this is the best steak I've eaten in a long time." King Lion and the Rainbird tried to find the place where the sun comes up. Along the way, the Rainbird chatted to his cousins, and he would not stop. At last, they were standing at the edge of the sea with the sun far in the east. So they went back home where their friends were waiting with a happy feast. "Rainbird, Rainbird, how did they know? How did you pass your message along?" "Easy," said the little bird, "I did it with my song." "Rainbird, Rainbird, how did they know? How did you pass your message along?" "Easy," said the little bird, "I did it with my song.
Tweet, 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 tweet.
Well, our time is up. Till next time, from Tales from Africa, Salaniga Day. Hello, friends. Oh, it's so nice to see you again. As we say in Zulu, Sanbonan Bangane Bam. Hey, I am so proud of my chickens. You know, in Africa, the end of the rain season is very dangerous for chickens because the wildcat and the weasels can get closer to the villages without being seen by the dogs. One day, Cock and his hens were feeding on the outskirts of their village. They didn't notice they were getting closer to the grass. Then suddenly, Cock heard a voice. Oh, good morning, dear old Cock. When he looked up, he was face to face with Wildcat. And he looked around. Fortunately, he could see he was between his hands and Wildcat. Then he said, "Wah, good morning, Wildcat." He pretended he was not afraid. Then Wildcat said, "Oh, have you heard? King Lion has announced that there will be peace amongst all animals. Can I be friends with you and your lovely little fat hens?" Cock said, "Well, I don't know about that. Where did you hear the news that there will be peace?" And Wildcat said, "Well, King Lion had a meeting at the waterhole last night, and all the wild animals know about it. The meat-eating animals have to stop eating meat. We are going to eat maize and fruit. I'll have to start a new garden. In fact, I'm starting one today. You and your hens are invited to come to my party to celebrate my new garden." Cock knew that if he went to the party, he and his hens would never come back. But what could he say that wouldn't make Wildcat grab him there and then? Well, he stretched his neck and he looked behind Wildcat. And Wildcat said, "Hey, what are you looking at?" Cock said, "What? I see my friend, our watchdog, coming. Can I invite him to the party too?" No. Forget about the party. I have to go. Goodbye," said Wildcat hastily. "What? What about our friendship? Why can't Dog come to the party too? Aren't we all at peace now?" asked Cock. "Oh, yes, we are. But I don't know if that stupid dog heard about it," said Wildcat, and he ran away. Quack! Phew, that was close. Come, girls, let's go back to the village.